This brand is big on homages, but usually with a bit of a twist. This is by far not my first timepiece that I'm reviewing from them, and all follow similar formula. They all pay tribute to iconic models. However, unlike other brands, instead of going after contemporary designs, Hruodland focuses on the popular timepieces from the past, and this particular watch here is not an exception. However, Hruodland also brings some modern developments to the table too. Like, for example, we will not find here cheaply made folded steel bracelet or wonky pressed clasp for that matter, and definitely no Hasselite crystal, a fancy name for a see-through plastic. As a matter of fact, at least at the first glance, Hruodland has all the bases covered here. So the million-dollar question is, of course, how good is it, and is the quality on par with the looks? Well, we have it here. Let's find out. Hello and welcome back. Okay, I might have exaggerated a little bit. It isn't exactly a million-dollar question. This watch is definitely more affordable than that. However, it is not in a super budget category either. As a matter of fact, I think the price positioning of this three-hander puts extra pressure on the quality and attention to detail of this timepiece. And we will look at it shortly. However, just before we start dissecting each and every minute detail of this watch, for full transparency, Hruodland did send it to me for review, and I get to keep it. No other incentives have been offered, and in return, as usual, I agreed to share a comprehensive review of this timepiece and point you to Hruodland's store, where you can further explore this watch should you so desire. So all the necessary links and additional discount information, if available, will be in the description of this video. Okay, so we will look at the price in a moment. However, let's first briefly discuss the design, and we might expect a very brief discussion indeed, and that's because we're looking here at the homage of one of the very popular and well-known horological icons. However, a few things need to be underlined here. First, as I pointed out at the start of this review, this is a homage to a vintage Explorer which had domed bubble-like crystal and not a flat one like a modern Rolex Explorer releases. Of course, in case of this Hruodland, instead of a Hasselite, we get here boxed sapphire crystal, and it is a good-looking crystal at that. And also we get here inverted end links instead of the protruding ones, which is not only reminiscent of vintage models, but also allows for a very comfortable wrist fit and versatility. And the solid stainless steel links are connected by screws, which is nice, and as icing on the cake, we also get here quick-release spring bars, so really nothing to complain about. However, one thing that Hruodland did not include on this watch is old-style pressed clasp, and it is a good thing because instead we are getting here a robust, fully milled clasp which also has on-the-fly adjustment, a very handy feature indeed. And while we are discussing design, we might as well look at the movement, and Hruodland didn't cut corners here either, installing Seiko Instruments NH38 movement to run this watch. Very robust and reputable automatic mechanical movement from Seiko, a close cousin to NH35 caliber, but without the date function, which is of course quite appropriate on a no-date watch. So we are getting here a very comprehensive package, pretty much no corners cut. Okay, there is one element that Hruodland left out, and I wish they didn't, and we'll get to it in a moment. Looking at the product listings, and this Hruodland is normally priced at around $190, give or take, and I saw it discounted down to $175 during the sales. So if you don't have tons of AliExpress vouchers or coins, a bit of patience might get you a better price, although it is not a guarantee. As I pointed out earlier, it is not exactly a budget offering. However, for the amount of features that we get here, the price still seems to be fairly competitive, and I might circle back to it a bit later in this video. So in terms of dimensions, we get here 36mm case diameter, 20mm lugs, 11.7mm case height, out of which around 1.5mm is taken by the box sapphire crystal, and lug-to-lug distance is 43mm. The supplied bracelet tapers down to 16mm by the clasp, and as supplied it is long enough to cover wrists up to 8 inches or just over 20cm in circumference, and this watch weighs 120 grams and 112 grams after sizing it to my about 7-inch wrist. So the case here is really well sculpted, and we have high polished fixed bezel. The bezel is well proportioned and it is not too thin or too thick, which sometimes can ruin the aesthetics of this style of watch. The top of the lugs are brushed and the brushing is a bit coarse, but not too coarse, and it creates a nice contrast with high polished curved flanks of the case. And as a reminder of the vintage aesthetics, we get here drilled lugs, which is a nice touch. Well-proportioned screw-down crown is easy to engage, and being a screw-down definitely contributes to 200 meters of declared water resistance, making this a very practical timepiece. Flipping the case over, and not much to see here, just a brushed sterile screw-on caseback with high-polished bevels on the perimeter. So a really elegant looking case. I'm still waiting though for Hruodland to come up with a nice logo for the crown. This is not the first timepiece from them that has a sterile crown, and I do appreciate that it does give the watch a bit more of a vintagey feel. However, at this price point, a signed crown would be more appropriate, in my humble opinion. So I already pointed out that we have boxed sapphire crystal here, so now we just need to run my usual test to confirm. The crystal here is also ever so slightly domed and it looks really nice, emphasizing the vintage style of this timepiece. I couldn't find any mention of anti-reflective coating in the product listings, however the crystal seems to be dealing with the reflections really well, even in direct sunlight. And such good legibility of this timepiece is in no small part has to thank this crisp contrasting dial. We have matte black background with light beige color printed hour markers and minute track. The color of the hour indices works well with the gilt hands, which are also covered with lume, as we will see in a moment. We have the Hruodland logo on the top of the dial and a simple 2 lines of text above the 6 o'clock marker. So the dial is very clean, very legible and not cluttered. The hands are well proportioned and are also nicely finished and grab the light at every opportunity. And here is my lume test. Okay, in regards to the lume performance, my expectations were quite modest, so I was somewhat pleasantly surprised by a very decent lume on this watch. Well, I guess it is always better to be pleasantly surprised than disappointed. So we already covered the key points of this bracelet, so in this section I will focus on quality of the execution and wearability. So we get solid inverted end-links that integrate with the case really well. The curvature of the end-links precisely follows the curvature of the lugs, and the end-links are also ever so slightly recessed, so really good attention to detail. The finishing pattern of the bracelet links is also similar to the case, brushing on the top and high polished on the sides, although the brushing on the bracelet has a bit finer strokes, which does create a slight visual separation, but at the same time gives the bracelet a somewhat more premium look. The links are connected by screws and the bracelet tolerances are really good too. It feels really nice and solid. And quick-release spring bars are very practical too. And as I mentioned earlier, we get here fully milled stainless steel clasp, which also features on-the-fly adjustment mechanism. Again, the key question here is the quality of the execution of this clasp, and I'm happy to report that the clasp tolerances are very good. It is also well finished with hardly any sharp edges to speak of, and at least on this particular clasp, everything seems to be working well, so no complaints here. In terms of wearability, it is a very comfortable watch, which will be suitable for pretty much most wrist sizes, starting possibly from about 5 3/4 inches and up. Also, this style of watch tends to wear larger than the 36mm diameter suggests, especially on this stainless steel bracelet. Putting this watch on a strap is very easy thanks to those quick-release spring bars. However, some straps will make this watch look a bit smaller, in other words, closer to its 36mm size. So personally, I prefer this watch on the bracelet. So Hruodland packed this compact three-hander with a bunch of very practical features and delivered a solid build quality, which in my view fits the price point quite well. It is of course always nice to see good discounts offered, however, even at the current price point we have here a very compelling offering. What are your thoughts? Well, do let us know in the comments. And for more Rolex homages, check out my playlist on the screen over here. There are some really interesting hidden gems over there. Don't forget to like and of course subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thank you for watching, take care, and I will see you in the next video.